Hey, this is Henry Penix, the business fighter, getting ready for another one of our podcasts. I've got an amazing guy on today, Carl Scaramuzza. He's Italian, and
Oh,
yeah. And he created the credit blueprint. Everything in our life revolves around credit. If you've got good credit, there's a strategy. If you've got bad credit, there's a strategy to get it up. Um, I've had money in my life. I've been in a position where I didn't have money and I needed a certain kind of credit either way. So wherever you are on that spectrum, we've got the guy on today to teach us about that and to learn some golden nuggets. He's going to drop some golden nuggets throughout this podcast that you're going to love. You're going to want to follow up with him. And again, wherever your credit is, we're going to have a story for you. So, Carl, welcome to the podcast.
Henry, I appreciate you having me, man. Big fan, big supporter of what you're doing. So,
Oh, thank you so much. And I don't know if you remember, but you kind of unleashed all this. Months ago, you were the first guy that interviewed me.
was I?
And I was scared to death. I never told you this, but I was sitting in my Porsche. I was outside of a place, and we were doing this thing. It was my very first one, and I go, man, what is he going to ask me? What am I going to say? And you were so kind. You were so eloquent. You kept it going so well. When I got noticed that you were able to be on my podcast, the first thing I want to do was to thank you for giving me such a great experience, because that's extrapolated into me I've done about 25, 30 of these. I love it. It's like in my blood, but man, you kicked me off.
Well, maybe the lesson there is I should have been tougher on you. Maybe you should be tougher on me, and we'd get better ratings like Howard Stern. Maybe you should beat me up today and not drag me along.
Okay, you piece of crap. Listen to me.
Yeah.
Man, I do. Thank you so much. And I know my audience, from the feedback that I've got from them over the last 6-8 months, they're going to love you. With me personally, and I want to find out kind of how you got to do what you're doing now. Give me some of the struggles you went through and all that. But I want to make the statement now that and I said it in the opening, but I'm going to say it again. No matter how much money I've ever had or not had, my credit always played an important rule, an important factor in what I could do or not do in life. Like if I didn't have the score to get certain things, I needed to know that, because bankers, that's the first thing they look at. And if it was great, I needed to know the privileges that come with that so that I could take advantage of lower interest rates, better terms, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm so excited for you to drop some of those golden nuggets for each end of the spectrum, because I want to hear that. But if you've got a second, man, tell me kind of how you got started, what got you so interested in the credit game, because you're the best of it. So what got you started?
Yeah, I was actually in the mortgage business from 98 to '08. And when I jumped out 2008, everything hit the fan. I jumped out of the mortgage business, and I had a buddy that owned a credit repair business. And I started learning from him a little bit, and he was pretty good at what he was doing. He wasn't great. He was just good. I say it all the time, right? Success leaves clues. Like find a way to work for successful people to figure out what they know so you can learn it. That's how I started my business. So I kind of started picking his brain and working for him a little bit. And then I figured out, I could do this on my own. I don't need anyone. I'm going to leave and do my own thing. And that's what I did in 2011, when I had, I would say, one asset, a house. I had a nice car. I had a CLK 500, a nice Mercedes.
Right.
I didn't have any savings because I just got destroyed from 2008, 2009.
Sure.
And I was just kind of working for this guy. So it was like I was a commission job working for him. I had no money saved. I had one asset, a car as an asset. And that was pretty much it. So when I left to start my company in 2011, I was expecting to make money right away. Like most optimistic entrepreneurs, they're going to go into something and you're right. And you're going to make money right away. I'm going to make money. If I don't make money in month 1, I'll make it in 3, month 6, month 12. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa. So it was about 6 months, not a lot of revenue coming in. And I ended up losing my house. I ended up falling behind. They foreclosed on my house. And then I ended up having to do a voluntary repo on that car. So I lost the 2 assets that I had, right, in order to build, which is really the greatest asset in my life right now, which is, besides myself, my business. And I wouldn't change that for anything. So that's how I really got into the space was, I learned from someone that had success. I wanted to do it better than what he was doing,
Right.
Started my own company, risked everything. And then we started building from there.
Man. So, I tell people whenever I'm on a flight and if I feel turbulence or if there's some problems, I want to be able to look up there and see some gray hair on the pilot. So with your experience, you can speak to any level. You can speak to guys who are just starting out, who just had their car repossessed, who may have lost their home or had to, even file for bankruptcy, all the way to the person who's got money and you can teach them how that credit can serve them. Let's start out on the first end of the spectrum. So think of the worst case scenario. A guy or a girl has had to file for bankruptcy, let's say, or repossess their car and everything bad is happening to them. Mm-hmm. They've got a job. They're trying to kind of get going again. What's the best way to protect and build your credit from that end of the spectrum?
So they've already lost everything, shit already hit the fan, right?
Yeah.
You got to make the investment in your credit. You want to obviously work with a professional. There's a lot of misinformation out there with credit that's very dangerous. You can Google information on how to fix it, what you should do, or maybe what your Aunt Joyce did that worked for him, something along those lines. Credit's one of those things. It's like, it's very personalized for what happened to you in the past and how many positive accounts you have now. So you really want to get with an expert, somebody that can look at your situation and go, well, based on what happened to you in the past, this is what you need to do right now in order to fix it. So for somebody that's gone through a bankruptcy and a foreclosure, if you can ask yourself this question, you can answer the question that the worst is behind you. Like you've already gone through that a couple of years ago and it's behind you, well, then it's fixable. You can fix credit in a relatively fast period of time, which will really start to open up doors for entrepreneurs and business owners. But for me, I didn't have access to that. So when I first started, unfortunately, the mistake I made was I had to get a partner involved because my credit was so bad because I let everything go. And that was 2 or 3 years of trying to get out from under this gentleman because my credit wasn't bad. So sometimes I look back and I go, where would I have been if I didn't take money from a friend to partner up with to start this company, if my credit would have been in the right space? Or, Henry, if I would have just waited, if I would have just focused on sales, got my sales right, got my credit right, and then look to get some money myself without bringing a partner on, it would have changed the beginning portion of what I did with my business.
Sure. So if a person, let me ask you this, because I get this question sometimes, if a person is contemplating bankruptcy and they don't seem to have a way out, because they're getting bullied by creditors, they're getting calls every week, et cetera, should that person just go ahead and file for bankruptcy, or is that a no-no? Like, should you do everything that you can do not to file, maybe try to strike deals with the creditors, enlist a professional, obviously, but I've got a professional on my podcast right now. So I want to ask you, what would you do in that situation?
Just think about where the person's focus is, right? So like, if you had a lot of debt and you were an entrepreneur, there's 2 things you can focus on. You can focus on maybe going to a bankruptcy attorney and figuring out how you can get out from under this debt because it's stressing you out. Or the entrepreneur, the mindset that I live by,
yes,
with wherever your focus goes, the money flows, right? So it's like, I'm not going to focus on getting out from under debt that creditors are harassing me. I'm going to focus on the same way I did the first 6 months of my business when people were trying to take my car, the sheriff was knocking on my door. I focused, and how I dug myself out of the hole was revenue. Revenue, cash for your business, right? The purpose of a business is to generate revenue and then generate more revenue. That's the number one thing with a business. And that's what I focused on. Okay. Instead of focusing on, and I know you're asking a credit question, instead of focusing on how do I get out from that debt? How do I make enough revenue to where that debt, I could just pay it off in one day? No big deal.
Very good. Very good. And the long-term play for a person, if they haven't filed yet, or if they think filing bankruptcy is their last option, the better thing long-term, you think, and tell me if I'm hearing this correctly, is to not focus on the debt, but focus on making enough money so you can pay the debt. And that is a better long-term play.
Yeah, I just ignored everyone during that time. So if you like really go back to my situation, I ignored the noise. I knew that people were knocking on my door, trying to instill fear in me, trying to say they were going to freeze my bank account and things like that. And I was like, I got to focus on how I grow my revenue fast so I can make all of these problems go away. And that's what I did. So like in the beginning, if you did have to let some things go and ignore people in order to get this amazing business off the ground and running, I like that idea, and then focus on revenue.
Yeah, no, I do too. I love your heart. I love your spirit, and I love the work ethic. And that's an honorable thing. Some people might think, well, it's not honorable not to return phone calls or whatever, but it's more honorable, like you said, to focus on making the money so that you can pay the debt. You know, one paid off debt takes the place of 100 phone calls that probably won't get anywhere anyway if you don't have the money to pay. So what can you really focus? I love this. What can you really focus on today? Don't be frozen by fear. Put those on hold, compartmentalize them, put them in that drawer, shut the drawer for a month or 2 or 3 or 6, and make enough money to then open that door and satisfy everybody.
Yeah, it's a dangerous question for me because when people go, hey, man, I got like $50,000 in debt. What would you do to get out from under it? Or I get the millennials and they start with I got $150,000 in student debt. I can't start my business until I get out from debt. And I'm like, do you really want to know how I feel? Because I feel you should focus on growing your revenue. And that solves a lot of problems, man.
No, I love your candidness, and I love your, like you've experienced this. So I love that about you. Okay, let's go to the other end of the spectrum. So you've kicked ass, you've done well in your business, you've done good. You've got a credit score that's up in the 800s, which is, kind of the higher end of what you can get. What do you expect from a credit score that high, and how can you use it? How can you talk to bankers? How can you talk to when you're buying a car? Like give us some insight on that.
And I don't have an 800 credit score, just for the record. And the reason why is because I use it. A lot of people, they feel like, oh, I want to have an 800 credit score. And then you'll ask them, well, why do you want an 800 credit score? And they don't really know why. They just want to say they have an 800 credit score.
Really?
Right? Like a lot of people they want to be able to tell their neighbor. Like my brother's famous for this. He'll show me his phone and he'll go, hey, man.
Here's my Experian report.
He's like, yeah, I'm on the app. I got an 820 score. What are your scores, Credit Carl? Just messing with me. The problem is most people don't know what to do when they have an 800 credit score. If you had it, it's not about telling the Joneses, not about telling your neighbors, not about rubbing it in your brother's face that you might have a better credit score at this very moment. It's not about watches. It's not about materialistic things. It's not about that. It's actually a weapon. An 800 credit score is how you can get out of maybe your job and start a business. It's how anyone that I've ever interviewed on my podcast, The Power of Credit, successful entrepreneurs use that 800 score to grow their money, to grow their revenue, meaning like they use it. When I say use it or leverage it, I mean, they get access to other people's money, right? I mean, that's the whole point of an 800 credit score. If you can get access to money and invest it in a business or real estate, that's how the rich get richer. And they just keep multiplying that, doing it over and over again. So really an 800 credit score to me, it's my mentality changed. If you asked me 10 years ago, I used to think that credit was something that you just use to buy your first house or maybe buy an investment property. And that was it. And then once I started interviewing successful people, I saw how they just used their credit score throughout the whole process to get business credit cards, to get business lines of credit, to establish relationships with bank to get larger lines of credit. The list goes on. So
exactly. No, dude, I'm tracking with you. I got a car not too long ago, and people ask me, are you just going to pay cash? Why would you ever take money out to do this? I said, because I can get 7 years and 3% money right now. I could take the excess and make 12, 15, 20% off of that. And this has only cost me 3 to have my cash that I can put into a business that will make me more money. I mean, to me, and a lot of people don't share that attitude, but to me, like, I want to use that successfully. And I want to use that to catapult me to that next level, not just say that I paid off my car. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Henry, that's a rich person's mindset. That's exactly a rich person's mindset. And I'm not saying that I've had this my entire life. I'm 41 years old. And for the first, I'd say 35 years, I didn't have that mentality.
Right.
I knew it was inside of me. It was in my core,
Yeah.
because I come from a broken middle-class family, lower middle-class family. And my dad, I asked him a really interesting question when I interviewed my dad. And the name of the series on my Instagram was The Lies Our Parents Tell Us About Money. And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, if you have $50 million right now, if you hit the lottery, because he's constantly playing the lottery, I said, what would you do with it? How would you grow it? How would you multiply it? He goes, well, I'd take $20 million, I'd give away to you kids. He said, I'd put about $10 million in a savings account. And then I'd take the other 20 million, I'd go down to Bahamas and I'd gamble it. I go, wow. So there's no plans of multiplying. So you understand, this is what I grew up with, a guy that was going to give away 20, gamble 20, and then put 10 million in a savings account. I should have no chance growing my money based on that.
Dude, that is, I'm so glad you shared that story. But a lot of people think that, man. That's why you said it's important to enlist a professional. And your whole idea, and this is not a sales pitch. When I bring people on my podcast, I want to give other people help. That's my whole thing. Henry, the business fighter, we're on with. He's commonly known as Credit Carl, and he's got all the information about credit, how to use it when you're facing bankruptcy, how to use it when you've got $1 million in the bank, and everything in between. So Carl, like, you created this credit blueprint. Tell me a little bit about that, because we've only got like 5 to 7 minutes left. Tell me what people will get out of that, how they find you, how they start using your systems and learn more about you, please.
It's really my credit repair company, Credit Blueprint. Obviously the word blueprint is, we're going to give you a blueprint, a roadmap on how to build your credit. But right. The word credit repair kind of has that negative stigma about it a little bit. You know? So I like, I like credit enhancement, credit improvement. I like those words. And we will help clients anywhere from somebody that was like me, who had a foreclosure and a bankruptcy, and my scores went all the way down to 450. But we'll also help the business owner that has a 680 credit score that wants to get an 800 score so they can access business credit cards, business fundings, and things like that. And what we'll do with these clients, right, is we'll work on getting rid of some of the negative things. So if somebody did file bankruptcy, or some of those bills fell behind, they're in collections and charge-offs and stuff like that, we can get a lot of that stuff cleaned up or expunged from the credit report by sending letters. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing we do, which really separates us, is coaching. You know, all of we call them credit coaches. My credit coaches they're one of the favorite things that I do. Like, we have such a culture that I'm proud of, with our core values and our mission statement. And the coaches we have right now are like the lifeline for testimonials and customers falling in love with what we're doing, holding them accountable, giving them a real action plan. So I'm proud of my team right now, man. And we're growing. And it's when someone normally gets in our web, meaning they're in our process and we're helping them repair their credit and get it to the best. It's very, very rare where somebody is not wowed by my team. And Henry, you're talking 2011, 8, 9 years. People weren't wowed for the first 5 years, for the first 6 years. So, you know, it took us a while to figure out, you know, how do we get good at this? Real good.
Yeah. I get the feeling just from listening to you, you've created kind of like a family atmosphere, that once you kind of join the family, you know, you're talking about talking Italian, being in Miami and this and that, like you probably have deep family roots, and you want to extrapolate that into your business. So when people come into your family, you show them that blueprint and you share with them things that are going to make their credit better. You treat them like family, so that if anybody tries to screw with them once they're in the family, you're going to get a letter, you're going to get a call, something's going to happen. Leave this person alone. We got it handled. We've got a plan. Take the stress away, and put you on the road to recovery.
Yep.
Credit recovery.
100%. Matter of fact, the people that work for me, I had a guy who's my neighbor here in Miami, David Lee Jensen, the hiring expert. David Lee said, when you're hiring people, the people that are in your organization, you should be able to give them the key to your front house. For the first time ever with my company, I have that. I have people in my organization where I could give them a key and go, there you go. I need you to grab something in my house, do X, Y, and Z, and completely trust them.
And you trust them.
Dude. Now I just need 100 more of those, but
no, credit's a big thing to be trusted with and people in general. But man, I feel like we've only been talking 5 minutes, but we're at the end of our time now. Guys, if you want to hear more about Credit Karl and get his blueprint for financial recovery or financial discovery. So you're recovering if you've had some bad things in your past, you're discovering if you can hook up with him, and he'll tell you how to go even higher in using positive credit. So anywhere that you're at on the spectrum, I'm convinced that Karl will introduce you into his family and take care of you. Karl, man, it's been so cool. Tell people one more time how they get a hold of you. Where can they find you on Instagram, your website? Tell us a little bit about that.
Karl, hold on. Say that line one more time. Financial recovery. What was it? That's such a good
financial
line.
Recovery or financial discovery.
Financial recovery or financial discovery. We're
right.
Out with both. I love it.
Okay.
Just created something new.
Cool.
No, so I do all my dirty work on Instagram. So that's always the best. Credit.Karl on Instagram. Send me a DM. I'll personally respond. I'll get you in touch with my team. The consultation is absolutely free. Make the investment in your credit, especially going into 2020. Like, come on, man. Like, so many people take action in the beginning of the year. It's a really good time to start your journey, because all those people that started in the beginning of 2019, those are all the testimonials that we got in the middle of this year that are taking their business, their money to the next level, their credit to the next level.
Right, man. I couldn't agree with you more.
I should give the site too. I mean, creditblueprint.net, creditblueprint.net.
Okay. Any of those ways you guys connect with Karl. He'll bring you into the family. He'll take care of you from credit recovery to credit discovery. So it's we're online here. Karl, thank you so much, man. We got to do this again.
Appreciate you, man.
Okay.